Yo, what's good, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sisters review. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to, but if not, just sit back and relax while we get into this messy thing. Now, this particular video, okay, if you've already looked at the thumbnail, then you know we are here to discuss one thing and one thing only, and it is the scene between Karen, Aaron, Zach, and those two uninvited guests, also known as Fatima and Danny. Now, if you listen to my trailer breakdown, I talked about how this scene bothered me on so many levels, but I was given, some grace to the writers because they're new, but that grace has been cut off. No more extensions on the grace card because there were so many things about this scene that just rubbed me the wrong way. There were so many things about this scene that did not even seem believable or on brand for Karen, in my personal opinion. We're going to get into that. Also, this scene was written as if the situation at Sabrina's mocktail celebration did not happen. And we're going to get into that a little later as well. But first thing first, I have to just go out, on a limb and say this. When Karen opened that door and it was Danny on the other side, this is the first thing that I thought about.
You take your ass home.
Because, ma'am, why are you here? You have no purpose here. You have no say here. So why are you here? We find out a little later that Danny is there for the simple act of apologizing to Karen. And not nan time in the moment that she was there did she issue out an apology. And further on in the scene, we see that Danny's true nature, her true intent was shown. Because Danny makes it known that, girl, hurry up. I got things to do and places to go. Would you get on with it and finally reveal the paternity results of your children? And we all know that's none of Danny's business. And to all the Danny defenders,
Stable creatures. See, I ain't gonna say the B word. I'm gonna say unstable creatures. It's my new word for y'all.
That's what I'm gonna call y'all from this point on, the Danny defenders. Because sometimes it's very hard for me to believe the comments and the messages that I receive on the character Danny's behalf. So many times I get, Danny is in therapy. Danny is trying to become a better person. Danny doesn't want to become, she doesn't want to be stuck with where she is. She wants to become better. And she's just tired of Karen's ish at this point. And in my mind, when people make blanketed statements like that, my question is, what exactly is Danny tired of? I could respect that perspective if you give me an example. What is Danny so tired of when it comes to her and Karen? It is one thing when you don't know someone's true intent and then they play in your face. But it's another thing to know the person's intent and they continue to play in your face. And for me, this dynamic between Karen and Danny, that is exactly what has happened. When I go back to that mocktail situation, at that point, there is no reason, honestly, why Karen should be friends with any of these women, let alone Danny, because Danny has functioned in a position where she believes she has the right to know what's going on in Karen's life as it pertains to her children, as if she's going to be taking care of them financially, as if she's going to be a person who is going to have any type of parental guidance with these children. So I have still struggled with the fact of why does she need to know this information so desperately? Because that's exactly what she acts like. She acts like a desperate person who is in need of information that is literally not her business. And so when I talk about what's on brand for Karen and what's not, like I said, we all know what happened at this mocktail situation. And when Danny knocked on the door, I was surprised that Karen even allowed her into her house. I really was. I really thought Karen was going to be like, Danny, I got a situation here, or, I'm expecting some people to come over. This is not the time. But the fact that she let Danny in, the fact that they really didn't discuss what they really needed to discuss, I was really shocked because it just didn't make sense. And I am someone where continuity of storyline means so much. Now, I do also understand that, yes, I am watching Sisters, so I know that continuity really does not go, you know what I'm saying, don't go too far. But I'm like, damn, the mocktail situation just happened yesterday. I'm like, why are we acting as if it never happened? Prime example, when Danny walked in and her and Fatima greeted each other, and you know, hey, Fatima, hey, Danny, hey, boo, how you doing? All right, girl, love your hair. Was Fatima hair not like that yesterday? And I firmly understand the agenda that the writers are pushing, trying to create this friendship or this certain sisterhood dynamic between Fatima and Danny. And to me, it seemed too much. You're doing a little bit too much to try to make this seem authentic. The foundation really has already been laid. If that was a direction that they wanted to go into, you don't have to overdo it. It was laid out when Danny, unfortunately, was physically assaulted by Jonah, and Fatima was doing everything to help her find out where Jonah was, so on and so forth. When they had their conversation, even though I felt it was straight BS, but when they had their conversation at dinner before Sabrina, Rich, and Tony arrived, you're also laying these bricks of foundation for their friendship. You don't have to overdo it. And then to be acting like that in front of Karen, it was just seemed too much for me, especially after what happened the previous day. Speaking of Fatima, when Fatima and Zach arrives, Karen is on the defense because, one, Zach didn't tell her that Fatima would be joining him. He tells Karen, hey, she deserves to know the paternity results too, you know, it's cool. First of all, immature man, how are you going to tell me what's cool and what's not when it comes to who I allow in my domain? I don't understand that. Even if Karen was trying to keep the peace, I'm going to just give her some props and say she handled that well. But if it was Alicia, if it was me, Fatima would never, ever be allowed in my house. That's just me. I talked about that on Our Sisters Keeper with me and Erica Vane. I am not a grudge holder. I'm not one to hold grudges. But if anyone ever disrespects me in a sense of you walk into my house without my permission and you're uninvited and you feel you have justification to do so, you and I will always have a problem. I don't have to deal with you. You don't have to deal with me. When you see me, act like I don't exist, because that's what I'm going to do to you. Point blank, period. So as I'm watching the scene and Fatima is there, you know what I'm saying, because she has to be everywhere Zach is because she doesn't trust him to keep his penis in his pants, especially when it comes to Karen. I'm thinking like, this is such an embarrassment for me as a woman. If I can't trust my man to handle his affairs without me, if I can't trust my man to be on his best behavior without me, I would not want to be with that person. It's almost like a mother giving her child a pep talk. When we get to this store, don't touch nothing. When we go to this person's house, act like you got some sense. You know you've already eaten. Don't go over there. Don't beg. And don't show your behind. And don't embarrass me. That's almost equal to Fatima's presence whenever Zach needs to handle something when it comes to his manhood, him being a man, him being a father. But we'll get on that a little bit later. So Karen is, alluding to this mystery guest, you know what I'm saying, this special guest. And we find out that special guest is Aaron. And when Aaron walks in, Zach has an immediate response to his presence, which he always does. And for the life of him, he can't understand why Karen has allowed this clown, his words, not mine, to be here. I don't need this clown to be here for you to tell me I'm not the father, was Zach's words. Fatima tells him, baby, calm down. I'm calm. I'm calm. You're not calm. Because the mere presence of this man has caused you to resort back. I can't say resort back because Zach is always immature. But it has caused you to function in this place of insecurity. It's one thing to be insecure. I believe that all of us have insecurities about something. However, to see Zach continuously show his insecurities on display is not a good look to me. It's not becoming. I I wouldn't even want a man like that. But anyway, that's Fatima issue, not mine. And I'm looking at Fatima, and, her and Zach have already had this conversation because she wants to know, why does just the mere presence of Aaron ruffle his feathers like they do? And Zach's response to her was, in previous episodes, that he always in my business. He always sticking his nose where it don't belong. He always got something to say. And I'm like, what? But this is when you're dealing with someone who cannot actually formulate an idea or a stream of consciousness that actually makes sense as to why this person disturbs you, because Zach doesn't want to operate in honesty and in truth. So he pulls stuff completely out of the air that don't make a damn bit of sense. And I'm looking at Fatima, and I'm wondering, as a woman, continuously, you're dealing with this thing of every time this man comes around who is dealing with my fiance's ex, my fiance acts as if he still has unresolved feelings for his ex-girlfriend and his baby mama. That's the energy that Zach gives off. And to the people who always try to tell me, I wish Karen would just leave them alone. Karen can't seem to get the hint. She ain't bothering them. She is not bothering these people. So when I tell y'all, when I'm communicating with people and I'm trying to understand where they're coming from, it is hard for me at times, because I'm like, that we are not watching the same show. Because for all of season 7, it has been the other people and the uninvited guests who has been trying to figure out what's going on with Karen. Karen ain't been worrying about them. But now that we have the main characters and these 2 uninvited guests in this scene, I'm excited because I'm trying to see how all this stuff play out, even though, like I said, some of the stuff in this scene did not make sense to me. So Karen tells them that they are both the father, and she begins to explain the situation and how this thing actually came about. But even in the midst of that, Fatima and Karen finds out that it was Danny who suggested to Zach to go ahead and get these paternity results, to get this test done. Karen and Fatima are both like, what? What's going on? This another thing when I said this was not on brand. Even for Karen, having the feeling that Danny has been consistently betraying her, as it came out also at the mocktail. When this news came out, they both said what, and Karen didn't tell Danny to get the hell out of her house. Again, when I say that the writers are pushing a certain agenda, and I see through it, and I believe all of us have had a reference point when we try to see certain things. I'm not saying that Karen is innocent in some of the ways that she has moved along this entire process as it pertains to Fatima and Zach. But what I am saying is the writers tend to put her in certain situations where she could be totally in the right, and then something will happen to try to make it seem like this is just, she's responding for no reason. She's having these feelings or emotions for no reason. And I can't stand when they do that, because she seems to be the only character that they do that to. And I have so many examples, and maybe I'll make that a separate video. However, as Karen tells them how this thing happened, I do have to give props to Zach. And I know some people ain't gonna like this, because there are a group of people in the fandom who feels that Zach consistently disrespects Fatima anytime that he is in Karen's presence. I believe most people are talking about the hospital scene and this scene here. Now, what I will say is Fatima's phrase she likes to say is, I'm here to support Zach, which I think is a bunch of bullshit. You're not there to support Zach. You're there to be nosy, and you are there to control the situation to ensure that Zach does nothing with Karen sexually. That's just the way I feel about it until I could be convinced otherwise. That's how I feel. And the reason why I say that Fatima is lying when it comes to her being a support system for Zach, because anytime that Zach shows any excitement, Fatima has a mean mug on her face. She is not thrilled, she is not excited, and she is not happy. Now, I do not expect Fatima to be jumping up for joy by the fact that Karen is pregnant by Zach's child. However, you've known this from the jump before you and Zach even made y'all situation permanent. Before y'all made y'all Zatima official, you knew that Karen was pregnant with his child, and it was something that you said, my good sis, that ain't nothing. That's all right. That's what you said, remember? Because sometimes people like to say how Karen words like to come back and bite her in the ass. Well, guess what? Fatima, your words like came back and bit you in the ass. And I don't mean one cheek. They bit your ass in both. Okay? Because you said you was cool with this. You said this wasn't no problem. That's what you said, sis. Now you over there looking real grumpy. You over there looking real unlucky. I'm just saying. But them was your words, sis. Did you not say that? I think you did. So I just had to point those things out because honestly, and I was going to make this another video, but I'm going to just include everything in here. Zach being excited and Zach being happy is a natural thing. And if you can't support him, Fatima, then stop being where he is when Karen is around. You can definitely help the situation. You can help yourself not feel how you feel by not being in the presence. That's just how I look at it. When Zach said, you know, well, it don't really matter. You know, I'm still excited and I hope mine is a girl. And he was all smiling and cheesing and he turned and looked at Fatima and she had a mean mug on her face. But you're there to support him, right? You're there to be his support system, right? You're not. That's not what a support system looks like. And the countless of conversations that I've had with women who will tell me they can't understand why Zach is so happy. It's disrespectful for Zach to be elated by the fact that Karen is carrying his child. And I also think about, like, take the fact that this is a TV show. If you were pregnant by someone and y'all relationship just didn't work out and, you know, they got into another relationship and, you know, the father of your child is accompanying you to the doctor's appointments and, you know, you're able to see the child heartbeat for the first time, hear the heartbeat for the first time, and you're able to see this child grow in you. That's a beautiful moment. And I would expect him to be happy. I would expect him to be joyful. And if that woman cannot appreciate that, then she need to keep her ass home. Maybe your place is, first of all, you really shouldn't be there because that's between the parents. You on the outside. That's just what it is. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. But I think that Zach, he has disrespected Fatima in ways that I can't even imagine. So I find it interesting that people don't get upset. Some people don't get upset by the mere fact that Zach has called Fatima out of her name several times, but want to crucify Karen to the cross when she does it. That Zach has disrespected this woman, told her ideals and her interests and her likes absolutely means nothing. She just need a thug, basically, who gonna throw her up on the wall and real good. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what? He has disrespected this woman in so many ways, but him being happy to be able to be there for his child, that's where y'all draw the line at disrespect. And then you think about Michael. Michael is 3 years old. Zach had no idea that Michael even existed until he was 3. So he missed Michael's birth. He missed his first sounds. He missed his first steps. He missed so many firsts of Michael's life, and the fact that he gets to be a part of this new child's first of everything, I can understand why he is elated and excited. Now I'm going to get to my boy Aaron because I feel bad for my brother. Aaron has respected Karen's wishes, and he has stayed the hell out of Dodge. He has ceased all communication and interaction with Karen per her request. So I can't imagine that this man just been out here living his life for the past few weeks. Okay? Matter of fact, the past 3 months. And now this woman calls you and invites you over to tell you that you a daddy. I can only imagine what's going on in Aaron's mind. And Aaron is still Aaron. He was still respectful. He did not disrespect Zach. He gave the little chuckles when Zach was acting like an immature grown up. And when Karen, when all the uninvited guests accompanied, left, Aaron asked, could they have a conversation? Could they talk? And she told him that she was tired and could they talk, tomorrow? And he, of course said yes. But I just know he's so excited. But I'm also wondering, what is the conversation going to sound like when him and Karen actually do really have a deep discussion for the first time as it pertains to their child as it pertains to their relational dynamic and how everything is going to work. I am so looking forward to that. But with the writers, you know, I was going to really go off, but, you know, I've calmed down a little since watching the episode initially. But I just don't like the fact when writers overdo it, and I don't like when they don't do enough. And there are just certain levels of disrespect. Like I said, Zach is just, I just don't like the man. Okay, I just don't like the man. So a lot of things that he does when it comes to Zach kind of sits on the high horse and look down on people, or some of the things that he expects of others, he does not function in them himself. So to tell Karen that Fatima deserves to know, and he just let her walk in like it's cool, I had a problem with that. But yet when Aaron comes, he's a clown. And what is he doing here? It's the hypocrisy for me. You know, Zach told Fatima a couple episodes ago, was Karen going to have to get on board? He wanted Karen to be all kumbaya. Because we in this together. She, you know, she having my baby. You going to be around. But now that Aaron is going to be around, we ain't speaking that same tune. We ain't singing that same kumbaya, my love. We ain't singing that. You want to be on We Some Head Busters, little scrappy type of vibe, because you don't like this man. And Danny, I really hope that the writers, and I don't expect this, but this is my hope. I hope that within the Black community of sisterhood and friendship, the reality is it doesn't always work out. The reality is there are some relationships that are severed that you cannot mend again. It doesn't mean that you have ill will towards that person or people. It doesn't mean that you don't want the best for them. It just means where you are in life, they no longer fit into that space that you may have. They no longer fit into the path that you may be going down. And I hope that there is a true depiction of what happens when friendships are severed indefinitely. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced this, the loss of a friend, not by death, but just understanding that we're no longer good for each other. That type of loss, for me, I'm going to say from my experience, has hurt worse than any man that I've ever really cared about and the relationship ended. Even the man that I was in love with and it just didn't work, did not even compare to losing a friendship, a sister. That is a whole different type of hurt. That is a whole different type of mental anguish, emotional damage. It does something to you. It's definitely something that you have to heal from. And it's a journey because it hurts. It truly hurts. It's heartbreaking to experience something like that. And I think with the writers, they play with it as if like it's a joke. And I understand that there is drama and comedy in Sisters, but there can also be a sweet place of reality and authenticity that can really show what happens when the friendship is just over. And even if the friendship can be mended, what does that look like? And I think there are so many opportunities for that to happen. And I really wish that we just get an opportunity to see that. But I really don't know if we will, because we know what we're dealing with. So, yeah, those were just my thoughts on that scene. So, thank you guys for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time, I will holler at y'all later. And y'all be safe out there.